Are you planning a kitchen remodel? If so, this video is for you. I've recently remodeled my kitchen, one of many I've done in the past, and I've got some definite opinions to share. I'll tell you the 5 design decisions I regret and the 5 design decisions I'd make again in my next kitchen remodel. I'm Robin. I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and lots of action in my house. So I feel like my kitchen gets a lot of use, and I've got some good feedback to share if you're in a similar situation. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'm going to share with you that I regret with this kitchen is choosing white cabinets. You know, I love white kitchens. I think white kitchens are gorgeous. I have many friends that have white kitchens that look so good. But for me, I chose white because look where I started. Look at this kitchen. I mean, this kitchen before, when we first bought this house, was so dark, dreary, pretty gross. It felt just like it needed to be sanitized. And I don't know, I just felt like white was just the polar opposite of how it felt, the way it was when we bought the house. So I kind of went to an extreme, and I should have tempered that a little bit, should have gone with something a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more inspired. It just felt so safe to go with white now that I've lived with white for a long time. I would have loved to go with something that was more of like a off-white, or certainly a wood tone would have been really nice. My last kitchen was wood tones, and that just was so easy because it was actually a flat front wood tone, and they didn't show any dirt, didn't show any wear and tear. I didn't have to worry about much because they were very low maintenance. So, you know, maintenance on a white cabinet is also high, but, you know, ultimately the concern I have is the design choice. The design choice was a little safe, like I said, so I regret that. I think you could do so much more with kitchens these days with all the different color options out there, and like, you know, what I would have chosen if I was going to do a painted cabinet again, which I'll touch on next. I would have done an off-white or some kind of a grayish somewhere in there. White cabinets. Oh my gosh. If anybody had ever told me how much they show everything, especially if they're in a shaker form, I would have never chosen a white cabinet. White is so pretty and clean looking and bright and fresh, but they are easy to collect dirt and grime in the nooks and crannies. Down here, for example, in these little areas, they show everything. Every little speck of dirt gets stuck here, so I often clean them, but it still doesn't quite get it all out. They also get injured. So water causes it to peel here, right here, over here has a little bump from this handle here. You know, I've got kids, and they're not going to be cautious about opening and closing cabinets when they're doing dishes and begrudgingly putting them away. Plus, white painted cabinets can show a yellowing of like a patina of yellow from the heat. So over here I have a toaster oven, and this thing gets a lot of use with chicken nuggets and, you know, all sorts of cooking, air frying. Even pulling that away from the wall still causes those cabinets on the left to yellow. If it were wood and they were sealed, like my last kitchen, gosh, those things were workhorses and you could never see anything. So I have to say, I regret white cabinets, white painted cabinets. So I recommend not doing that if I were you. My next regret is a trash can pull-out drawer. And not the trash can pull-out drawer, because I love having the trash can pull-out drawer because I don't want to see trash. I don't want to see a trash can, but I also don't want to smell trash. I have a drawer on top of my trash can pull-out drawer, which is like a pencil junk drawer. And every time we open it, because we have to grab scissors out of there all the time, there is just a stench from the trash because the trash is underneath. So I would never build a trash can with a drawer that you're using on top of it. Let me show you. So here is the drawer. Here's the trash can drawer, okay? So you pull it out, oh yeah, lovely trash, okay? So then there's recycling in the back and trash in the front. So handy, so convenient. But then every time I open this drawer, junk drawer, excuse the mess, we have to smell whatever is in this trash can. So I highly recommend doing a facade front on this drawer space here so that so really the trash is the whole height of this space. Because right now I can smell it. It smells awful. And then that way too, when your trash gets a little full, you don't have to worry whether it's gonna fit in here and bump against this when it's being closed. Because I don't know about you, but my daughter empties the trash and she doesn't empty it very often. I have to really push for her to do that. And sometimes it's extra full and doesn't go out as quickly as I'd like it to. Because I don't want to do it for her because she has to do her chore. Anyway, so that's a struggle. So I would really encourage you to have a trash drawer that has extra tall height as well as not be below a functional drawer, so you have to smell the trash when you use that drawer frequently. Okay, so next on my list of regrets. Let me turn this around. Is this fridge. Not the brand. The brand is fine. It's a GE profile or something. But it is tiny. It is so small. I should have splurged for the big counter depth tall fridge. So it would have gone up to the ceiling, or I would have had the cabinets designed wider or to accommodate a wider 4-foot, 48-inch fridge here. Yes, that would have cost quite a bit more money than this guy, but it would have been worth every penny. This fridge is so small and so challenging to fit all of our food in. And we do have a back fridge. We use it every day, but it's a long ways away in our back house, in our kind of our playroom guest house area. And it's really nice to have more than enough room in your refrigerator. The freezer here is tiny, the refrigerator is tiny, so I have to be very intentional about how I sort and pack the food. We cook every meal, and we go through a lot of food. I've got 3 athletic kids, and they eat a lot. 2 are teenagers and 1 is a tween, so we are busy cooking and feeding, food prepping for the week. Lots and lots of food gets cooked and consumed, and so I need lots of fridge space to organize it and to have it ready to go. So this fridge has been a huge regret, and it's not that cute. I love the look of a built-in tall fridge. My last house, my last kitchen remodel, we had the 48-inch KitchenAid. I'll show it to you right here. It is so pretty, and look how well it can be organized. I mean, it just is so, it's a game changer. It makes me feel like I'm like a princess living in a castle because of all the space and how functional it is for a busy family that eats tons. It is crazy. I've got a 17-year-old boy who plays water polo, so he is very, very active and very hungry. So anyway, the refrigerator, not splurging on the big refrigerator was a total miss. Should have done it and regret it every day. Another design decision that I regret making was not springing for under cabinet lighting. You know, it really sets a nice mood. So for example, over here in my beverage area, it's just so dark over there. I mean, it would be nicely lit underneath and it wouldn't look so depressing. This area just looks so dark and like it needs something, but there's no room to put a lamp over there because there's already so much going on. It's so cluttered. And like here as well, it would be a lot prettier if there were just a subtle glow. I'm sure I can get some LEDs and put them under there. We'll see. Maybe I'll try those and see how it works. But over here as well. And then of course over here I have a lamp, so that gives it some glow and a little charm. But I do regret not having that installed permanently as part of the kitchen. So something to think about when you are designing your kitchen. And last regret I have kind of goes in line with the first regret, which is the white kitchen. So the regret is the white backsplash. It's not that, it's just so basic. So you can see it behind me. It's just a white backsplash. I mean, what an opportunity for something a little bit more fun. I didn't take that opportunity. I thought, oh, I'm gonna go white. It's gonna be so pretty and so simple. And it'll be good for resale when we sell the house, because I do love to buy houses and fix them up and make them as beautiful as possible and sell them after we've enjoyed them for a few years. So I do regret not being more creative and inspired with this kitchen, but this is what we got and I do regret it. So if you are planning a kitchen remodel, I would encourage you to have some fun with some interesting backsplash options. Don't go too crazy because they still need to be timeless and subtle and classy and cohesive. You don't want it too modern, you don't want it too cold. You want it to be classy and minimal visually, but you also, for me, I would have done something maybe with a green to give some more warmth and more color in this space. So those are my top 5 regrets. I will not be doing a white kitchen again. I will not be doing painted cabinets again. I will not be getting a tiny fridge again. I will not be doing a white backsplash again. And I will not be putting a trash drawer underneath my active, underneath an active drawer that we use all the time either. So those are my 5 regrets. Moving on to the things that I will definitely do again in my next kitchen. First one is, I'll turn this around, is splurging on good hardware. I love this hardware. It's so comfortable to touch. It just is a really good quality hardware. So I always encourage you to not skimp on the hardware. Kitchens the handles are touched constantly, and they need to be solid, they need to feel good, and they need to look good. And they need to be the right type of metal so that they complement the space appropriately. And in this case, I went with the brass because it was a warm complement to the white, and I think it's a nice addition because this kitchen does not look like everyone else's white kitchen. It is a little bit more unique with these semicircle handles, and I appreciate that look, and I'm glad that it sets this kitchen apart a little bit from your basic white kitchen. The next thing on my list of kitchen upgrades I would do again over and over is this deep basin sink. I love a deep basin sink. I really love the way this sink has worked for us. It is big and it's not divided, which is really annoying to have to manage. I'm just pleased to have the space to put dishes in and strain something or wash something over here. It's really a very useful size and depth. So I definitely encourage you to get a single basin sink in your next kitchen remodel. The next upgrade I definitely love is the skylight. This kitchen is an interior kitchen. There's no external window anymore. We took that out. We took that window out, which was right here, and I'll talk about that in another video in the future. But what we did was we added this skylight. The skylight has been a total welcome add because it creates so much natural light, and the room just feels so pretty and light and bright, as any kitchen should. Kitchen should be full of light. So I love having installed that. So if you have a kitchen that may be on the dark side in terms of the natural light, consider a skylight. It was not overly expensive, and I just really, really appreciate having that extra natural light. The next thing I really appreciated that we added to this kitchen, because it is a white kitchen, we need some sort of warmth. I talked about how I added these brass hardware pulls, helped warm up the kitchen, but the other thing that helped warm up the kitchen are these walnut shelves. So the walnut accents. So I've got some walnut up here in this transition and some here at this counter transition. And the three of those locations really work well together and make the kitchen feel less sterile and less boring. I always love a kitchen rug too, to help with that too. Layering textiles is key, but walnut accents really set off a contrast point, which is really nice considering we've got this very generic tile, very generic white tile, white countertop, and white cabinets. So it gives it a little bit of warmth and personality, which is much needed in this space. My last recommendation for your kitchen, if you're considering doing a remodel soon, is a beverage center. Separating your beverages from your actual refrigerator in its own beverage center is really nice. There is for us, we have tons of La Croix, and we also have beer, we also have wine, we also have, different power energy type drinks protein drinks that my kids drink, which I don't really like them to drink, but they're, that's what they like on occasion. So instead of a wine fridge, I'll show you. Instead of a wine fridge, it's a mini refrigerator. So you could put food in here too if you wanted to, but it just is so functional because it gives us all sorts of extra space because we do have that small main fridge that it allows for all the overflow. And so all this stuff does not have to be in my regular fridge. That is a huge help to organization and to keeping everything put away. Another last little bonus item before I wrap up on this video is my cute little dog nook, dog water area nook. I love having this. We had just left a little bit of the cabinet off here at the end just so I could have a little nook for the dog water. And that's been really helpful because we can keep an eye on the water level and make sure it's clean and make sure they have plenty of water, especially during the summers where it's really hot here. So that's been a nice place where it's out of the way so the water doesn't get kicked or splashed and the dogs can drink out of it. Right there, it does get a little bit annoying because it is in the hallway, so sometimes the dogs block the hallway, but it's okay. We deal with it. I'm glad to have thought about that ahead of time. Otherwise, they would have just had it sitting out in the middle of a walkway, and that's not ideal either. Anyway, those are my five favorite things about this kitchen. Good luck on your kitchen remodel. And I hope some of these tips were helpful as you consider all of your options. See you in the next one.